the cancer that is the SEC just continues to exist, even under the Trump administration. Now, I get it. I mean, I guess there's, attorneys within the SEC and they're just doing their job or whatever. But so we've got a, February 28th, victory for Richard Hart, victory for Pulse Chain. The judge dismisses the SEC's case on all counts, the fraud, the jurisdiction, the offering, every single thing, the unregistered security. The result was a 100 out of 10, couldn't ask for any better. The SEC didn't dismiss or drop their case. The judge dismissed it. Richard Hart won the case objectively. So the SEC has 20 days that they can file to amend their complaint. I didn't think they were going to. I didn't think you thought that either, Ewok. Nuclear Herb said he didn't think it was that likely simply because, the new administration, they're dropping cases left and right. The judge eviscerated their complaint. I mean, there was nothing to stand on. They just got burnt by her. So what the hell are you even going to amend? Because it's not, you're stuck with your complaint. You're not drafting any new complaint here or anything like that. So they had 20 days. We see a week and a half later, whatever it is, this past Friday, they file for an extension to the 20th to get a bunch of more shit together, basically, and come back with something else. And unfortunately, Judge Carroll grants it here this past Monday, which I don't think is any kind of huge narrative on her part that they have a case. I think it's just kind of, well, I did just, slam dunk you guys and dismiss your entire case. Sure, I'll give you an extension if you want to try to come up with something else. But I imagine that she thinks the likelihood that there's going to be any fruits born, whatever the hell, of that, updated complaint is going to have anything that impresses her. You know what I mean? So she gave them time, but it's like, this is probably going to be nothing again. So, yeah. Do you want to maybe read over Herb's tweet here?
Sure.
If you can.
I can do that. It says, here's why I'm not really concerned. You can do with this information what you want. It may turn out that I'm right. It may turn out that I'm wrong. I don't have any inside information, so this is just what I see from my own perspective. Number one, the SEC is dropping or settling crypto cases left and right and dropping investigation that they would likely have turned into actual cases. Investigations take zero time to drop, so announcing those are easy. Number two, SEC no longer seems interested in the whole regulation by enforcement tactic they've used for years against crypto. We know this because commissioners have made this point clear more than once. We also know that the government wants to implement new policies and regulations regarding crypto. We know this because commissioners have said it, and the White House appointed a crypto czar with this express task. Given 2 and 3 above, it seems contrary to stated policy, both White House and current SEC, to continue to try and pursue cases where they need to prove whether a digital asset is a security under Howey. This is exactly what would need to be done in RH's case if it were to move forward, because, again, no security, no case. The only reason the SEC is claiming Hex, Pulse, PulseX are securities is because of the Howey test. The SEC complaint just got ripped apart entirely on Rule 12b-2.
I didn't realize it was this long. I don't know why. I didn't think it was.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
Yeah,
it's
never
a good
mind.
bit.
What's the? Does he have a TLDR at the bottom here? Because I didn't realize it was this much stuff.
Not really. Either way, chill. Either it happens or it doesn't. Nothing you can do about it. Let Richard's team handle it. They've proven more than capable so far. Yeah, there isn't. He's not concerned. Obviously, he's coming off as I'm not concerned.
Yeah, I wanted to say. Yeah, he said. I told you all why I don't think the SEC could successfully amend anyway, and I'm sticking to what I said. Unless they show up with something new, new facts that occurred during the relevant time periods, 2019, 2020 for Hex, and 21 and 22 for PulseX. I don't see how they get jurisdiction.
Yep.
Now, if the dismissal had been under Gary's SEC, I think you'd see them try anyway with different SEC leadership, the new policy direction from the White House, Congress, preparing legislation regarding how digital assets are defined, blah, 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 blah. I can't see a reason to continue to pursue this case. Here's the other thing, too, that I saw somebody said that I think makes all the sense in the world. Did they just want to be able to get their foot back in the door here, get back in control, quote unquote, for a minute by, okay, we're waiting on them to draft something new, only so they can then drop it,
Yep.
to look as if they save
They
face,
had
basically.
control. Yep, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was an option that I had heard somebody mention, is the fact that they wanted to do it so that they could turn around and say, "No, we're going to let it go." It almost
Right.
puts them back in some sort of control. Um,
Optically.
Also,
Yeah.
optically, yes, but really, like you said, the judge eviscerated. That was a very good term to use. Their arguments, and I don't know if they had 100 days if they could make a complaint out of what she did to their arguments. I really don't. Um, there was one person that was kind of tearing apart, because you got to remember this. Matt, is his name Matt, the SEC lawyer?
Oh yeah, I always forget his last name. It's like Gold or Guild or
Gold, yeah,
yeah,
Gold, whatever it is.
yeah.
Somebody was like tweeting at him and saying, "Listen, Doge, look what these guys are doing." And I believe it was Nuclear Herbs that actually brought up a good point: is you don't want this guy getting fired right now, because imagine if they get fired, put him on hold, assign it to a new lawyer who now has to have or will request 90 days, whatever it may be, to catch up to speed so
Mhm.
that they can continue. Let's let this guy have, that let's not get him, fired quite yet. So,
Right.
that was a good, a funny point, that we shouldn't be tweeting out anybody calling this guy out. They've done a miserable job so
Yeah, we
far.
want him
Let's
to
let
keep
it
at it.
continue. Yeah, we don't want to give it to somebody that's more competent than him already.
Yeah.
So, let's let it play out the way it is. They've done a great job already. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of funny, and a good point to make, that let's not call out, as Matthew Guild is what the name
Yeah,
was, I
there you
believe.
go. So what do you think ends up happening with this? So, damn it, they now have until February the 21st to come up with whatever the hell they're going to come
March,
up, or
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 April
we're both wrong.
21st.
February, what the hell? Yeah, April
April.
the 21st to come
Yeah.
up with whatever they're going to come up with. Um, I think we've got a couple scenarios. I think one could be like we just stated, that they get the ball back in their court, as weak as it is, and dismiss the case. So there's headlines that say the SEC drop case against
Yeah.
Richard Hart, even though there was already a complete ruling against them.
Sure.
Or they come back with something that has like a limp dick addition to whatever they already have, and Carol's like, get the fuck out of here,
Yeah.
and they just wrap it up. I mean, I really think that's about it. I mean, like, I don't know what else they could possibly do. That you said a minute ago, hyperbole anyway. Like, if they had 100 days, could they come? Well, they've had 100. They've already
Yeah.
had it. They've had
I have.
far beyond that. They've had all this thing. And like RH's attorneys argued, they've missed various deadlines so far. They laid out very well why they didn't feel that the
Yep.
extension should be made. She did it anyway. And again, as much as it's frustrating, I do get it from her part, because she
Yeah.
just dismissed their entire case. It's not like this went to a judgment portion. I mean, she just said, no, you're wrong on everything. So
Yeah.
what do you think the most likely scenarios are?
I think the most likely scenario is they may never have even had any intention of rewriting it, knowing how badly she tore it apart. I think they're just delaying it, honestly, and I think they'll wait up until the deadline, whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
to realize that they can't. There's not anything they can do. They can't come up with new information based on the current. Remember, they cannot add new complaints. Like, they can't
Right.
bring something in that hasn't been talked about already. They have to have different kind of proof, or evidence, or something contrary to what the judge has already decided, and came back to them with her response, which was 30 pages of just teardown.
Yeah.
So what I think happens is they wait till the deadline and realize there's not anything they can do, and they say, we're going to choose not to do anything. At that point, I believe the judge would come in and say, all right, here's your dismissal with prejudice, because she would have to, I think, if there's a dismissal and they're not arguing it, you get a dismissal with prejudice, right? Which means can't be brought up again. I think that's the fair
I
thing
don't know
to
if
do.
that's true. I mean, that is the term for that, but I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that would have to, um, I don't know that it has to be deemed that way or not. It'd be awesome if it was, because then we know that they can't come back with it ever again. But
Right.
yeah,
Well, it's like, what is it? Double jeopardy. You can't be tried twice for the same crime,
well, that
murder
also.
anyway. Is that just
I don't think he
murder?
murdered anybody. We didn't see that yet. I didn't see that on the
Well,
red notice. So
no, I didn't either. But again, I think that's how it plays out. I think they wait up until the very last time that they can, and then say, "We've got nothing. Sorry, Your Honor, for
right,
wasting your time."
right, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure everybody felt the same way, but like when I saw that they filed for the extension, I was just like, "You got to be shitting me, dude!" Like, I don't know, they got beat so badly that it's like, why are you doing this? And then,
Yeah,
as with everything, you start to zoom out. Herbs gives his thoughts on it and stuff, and you realize like what you realize the more you zoom out is that this matters very, very little overall. I mean, for this ecosystem's success and the prices and stuff like
yeah,
that right now, it just doesn't matter that much. It matters, I think, as far as crypto history and stuff, and is a very significant, judgment for Richard Hart. But in terms of like us right now and people that are just like, when are my bags going to go up? Ethereum's $2,000. We haven't seen money in retail move into the market yet, and that's what's going on. And all the rest of the stuff is short term. And here's the other thing: I was going to say this earlier, and I forgot when we were talking about the PDI thing. But all these price movements we're seeing lately, in regards to the SEC stuff and PDI yesterday, remember that the liquidity was massively pulled in this ecosystem recently. So any move is going to be drastic.
yep,
And there are two types of movements, if you're aware. There's up and down. We haven't seen much of the up part, but with these down ones, I mean, you're seeing sharp movements because
yeah.
all the ink yields have been slashed, the ink inflation has been slashed, all these things, and the liquidity is far lower. We're going to get into a topic. It'll be a good transition to get into the hex staking because we have the T shares getting more rare yet again. But we've had all this liquidity removed. So these spikes and these short-term action here in the bull market are going to be extreme. So, and you can probably talk about that for a minute, Ewok, just about like past bull markets and all the huge dips you see on your way up.
Well, yeah, the first hex run up, we dipped. Well, it doubled 13 times, essentially. So, but how many dips were in there between 40 and 80%? Well, it was because there wasn't much liquidity. So, yes, it could run easily, and a lot of people were buying it, but there was also a lot of people taking profits, and that's why they dipped so hard, but recovered so quickly. So, yeah, whenever liquidity gets pooled like that, it gets so over amplified with your movements to the up and to the down. It works both ways. It doesn't only work one way. Unfortunately, I wish there was a way to, I guess a bunch of single-sided liquidity to buy up dips would be the only stop to that. And you're looking at again another platform to be able to do that. But
Yeah.
there are people out there that will set single sides to help eat up some dips just in case it does, you know, and take a chunk out of it and hopefully protect it a little bit. But yeah, it works both ways, unfortunately.
Yeah. Swings both ways.